We are back. Welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. We are doing a special divisional round encore performance. The people requested another show. RG contacted us and said we need another show. We're getting paid the big bucks for it, so we decided to do it. So I'm back with my boys, Noto, Bobby Gomes. What's up, fellas? Good week last weekend. I mean, it was a fun slate. I did well, we gave out the blueprint for people how to do well, so I hope some people did that. Noto hit his 20-1 Dawson Knox first TD bet. Was just too easy, right? 20-1, stealing.
Too easy. You didn't join me, but yeah, I tried.
Well, I did play him in my one main lineup over Ferguson and still smashed, but imagine that. I faded Ferguson. Epic garbage time. Crazy garbage time in that game. That game was crazy. Bobby's back. What's up?
Yeah, nothing. I had a good week last week. I like these 4-game slates, the smaller slates going into the playoffs. Everyone's playing for something. The intensity's up. Every game matters. So interested to hop back on for another week and break down the slate.
I smashed UFC bets last weekend too. I'm going to give out some UFC bets here at the end of the show. I've got a max bet for me, an absolute max bet. Some may call it generational opportunity, but you guys can take it for what it's worth. If you want to tail with me, I'm going to be hammering somebody on tomorrow night. So it's Friday. We got the playoff games to talk about. We're going to do this one short and sweet. Less prepared than normal I am, but we're gonna figure this slate out together, all three of us. And I got Noto for the heavy lifting here, for the stats that he always brings. Bobby's been crunching over these playoff defenses and schemes, right? You big defensive scheme guy this week here. So this is gonna be fun. So we're gonna do like we always do. We are going to go, we're just going to talk about the 4 games organically, but we're also going to go position by position, start with the running backs, get it out of the way, then talk about our QBs, wide receivers for the stacks, tight ends included. Talk about some defenses don't really matter much, but we'll give our favorite plays there. But yeah, and then we'll give our favorite stacks at the end of the show. I'm also battling sick. I've been sick all week. But this is my flu game, so let's go. All right, we got 4 games. The Texans, CJ Stroud, kid's a freaking baller. Traveling to Baltimore. Ravens are 9.5-point favorites. Ravens haven't had a good history of covering as favorites, but that doesn't matter in the playoffs. Just got to win the game. But that game is interesting. The weather is going to be a little bit of a factor potentially in that one, cold and breezy. So that's what we got. We got 2 big weather, situations potentially, not as big as last week, but and then we have 1 game in San Francisco where I always assume weather to be perfect, but it may be potential for some rain, Roth says, and then obviously the Dome, Tampa, Detroit. So I think from a big picture, I think a lot of people are going to hone in on those, the San Fran game and the Detroit game, and just avoid the weather in Buffalo and in Baltimore. But the weather shouldn't be too bad, just cold in each of those spots. And all right, the second game is Green Bay, Fat Mike, I can't believe they didn't fire him. Like, can you believe that? He is such a dumbass coach.
You hear what he said today or yesterday?
No.
He said his players were running too fast. That's why they lost.
Yeah. Too fast. I did see that.
He needs to be completely axed. I don't know. Jerry Jones.
He should have been years ago. A guy doesn't know how to manage a play clock. Like it's like he's like.
And you have Vrabel out there. Like I'm sure you can get Vrabel to Dallas.
That would have made too much sense. Much sense. Anyways, Green Bay, LaFleur outcoached him severely. Dak was seeing ghosts. That was just a crazy game, but Green Bay is here now battling San Francisco and getting some momentum here at least from the betting public as a 9.5-point dog with a lot of actions coming in on Green Bay with the points. We will probably pick a super tease. I went 2-0 in super teases last week. Noto lost one because he got a bad line.
The weather,
right?
man, they moved that game. That was bad.
Yeah,
but,
and then then that's also like they shouldn't have kept it. They should have taken that one off.
I think super teases should be our shtick. I really like this super tease. Yeah, and I've had success in it. It's probably like my only gambling thing that I've ever.
I do it in the playoffs. That's the only time I ever do it is in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and I avoided the Dallas game luckily. So, I smell the rat there. So anyway, Green Bay, San Francisco. That game, we finally get to see San Fran back. See how they look, how Purdy looks with all their weapons, and then you got the dome game. This game should be nice for at least from like a back and forth. This could totally shoot out, I would think. Tampa with Baker looking great, and we called it all season. Sorry to the Eagles fans who listened to this, but they gave me a lot of flack when I said that the Eagles were frauds, and we all kind of said this, but it's the truth. It's the defense is just fraudulent. They just didn't have Swiss cheese defense, and they just got exposed. They were Tampa was an easy bet last week. Mayfield looked good. It's fun to see him back in action like that. Goff looking good. So that game's 48.5 point total. Lions favored by 6.5. And then the game that Noto and I need for our futures, for our kids' futures, right? We need this. We need the Bills. We got nice tickets in our pockets. We need them to beat the Chiefs, but they're 2.5 point favorites. But the scary thing is that the Bills' defense is decimated. They have like nobody left. So, and against facing Mahomes against a whittled down defense, sure, you can cover up things with schemes, but it's scary. So big picture overview of the slate. I'll just give my quick take quickly. It looks like quarterback, it's just play whoever you want. We're not going to have to worry about ownership too much. The thing I liked when I looked at all the industry's projections, which I always do, optimals were spitting out 3 different quarterbacks. So it wasn't like just last week where everyone was getting Dak, spitting out Dak. This week, the 3 that were getting spit out here from various sites are Goff, Purdy, and Mayfield. So that leaves us with the ceiling guys getting like even less love, like Lamar, Mahomes, Josh Allen. So I think this is a really good slate this weekend. You can just play whoever you want, at least from the quarterback position, and start your lineups from there. But yeah, so I think it's gonna be really fun. But how's it looking to you, Noto?
Yeah, it should be a fun slate. The last 2 times the Chiefs and Bills met up in the playoffs, the Chiefs got the best of them. So hoping that doesn't happen again. But yeah, both those games were shootout, 36-42, 24-38. I'm hoping that game kind of flies under the radar because I think the Bills are going to have to put up points with their defense having so many injuries. So that's kind of my favorite game to stack, especially if it's not going to be popular. But yeah, it should be a fun weekend. Bobby, what are you looking at?
Yeah, so I'm the opposite of Kirk. Like I like when ownership kind of condenses on quarterbacks, especially when we have quarterbacks with the ceilings that a lot of these guys have. But that's not the case. Quarterback's a strong position. I'd say wide receiver is a very strong position on the slate, and also tight end. The one position I think you can attack is the one we're about to get into here in a minute is the running back position, because I think that there's definitely variance within the prices and outcomes of some of these running backs. And I think you're going to have to get the running back position right on the slate, and it's going to be very difficult. So we'll kind of talk through it in a minute, and yeah, I'll let Kirky lead us into it.
All right. Well, that segues into running backs, where we usually start. It's always in its playoffs. You got, and it's a 4-game slate. Whether it's 3 games, 4 game, 2 game, you got to get the running backs right. You got to get everything right, pretty much, to win these slates. But McCaffrey is going to be the chalk. Obviously, he's the highest upside play. They feels like they made him a little too cheap at 8,800, probably purposefully. and he looks like he's going to get about 50% ownership. And then from there, it's anyone's pick. It's Rashad White. Looks like he's going to be getting the second most ownership against the Lions here. Devin Singletary, he's just the usage monster. I think he's 5,700. I think he's a smash play, but it is the Ravens. And it is also, he's not the sexiest name there. Pacheco, I can see a lot of people getting behind at 6,400. Then there's James Cook. Aaron Jones coming off. He broke the slate. And he was the one you needed. It was the other guy to break the slate was Ferguson, which was stupid. I faded him and still made money. You know what really actually I lost like 10 grand. 10 grand that wasn't mine that I was going to win and I was counting it. That Shakir touchdown took away from me. That really pissed me off. But man, things could have played out. If Ferguson got a couple of less touchdowns, things could have been a lot different for your boy. But anyways, Jones, monster game, monster usage. Looks like Dylan is going to be out again, is what I'm thinking. Jahmyr Gibbs, Monty, those guys, are getting less ownership. So I think it's tough for people to pick between them. And then if you want to get funky, we're going to have to talk about like Justin Hill or Gus Edwards. We don't have the smash Kareem Hunt play that we gave out last week. We gave the blueprint out. So Bobby, I'll let you start off at running back since you're dialed in on this one on running back, but give the people the blueprint.
Yeah, so for me, it's more of basically running back 2 is where I'm having the most difficulty. I think McCaffrey is a lock. Just think all the usage is going to be the most usage is going to be thrown his way versus Green Bay. It's a good matchup. Where I do have questions is like Aaron Jones, we're seeing with Dylan out getting a ton of usage. Devin Singletary, he's getting a ton of usage. So this secondary running back position, but they're also both in pretty difficult spots for San Fran and Baltimore. Rashad White's in a tough spot versus Detroit. Pacheco at 6'4" might go under the radar, like him a little bit. Same thing with James Cook. Like these running backs would be running backs that I've have interest getting to outside of Aaron Jones and Devin Singletary. So I think I might come under the field on Jones and Singletary and try to get up on like the running backs in the KC Buffalo game. Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery are facing Vita Vea in this Tampa Bay defense. We really try to not target running backs versus Tampa Bay, but Penei Sewell kind of probably gives one of these two some sort of upside, because I do think that Detroit's a team that can run on Tampa Bay because they have a lineman like Penei Sewell. So he's someone like one of these two I'm going to have interest in. Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. It's probably at most one of the two of those. But I think that those two running backs are also in play. So running back 2 is kind of the position I'm having the most difficulty in currently, leaning towards playing running backs in the KC Buffalo game. Probably one of Jahmyr Gibbs or Montgomery will make my pool, and one of Gus Edwards or Justice Hill will be in there as well. Gus Edwards priced up to 5.9, so I don't know if I really want to pay that for a guy who I don't really see with the upside of a guy like Justice Hill. But I don't know. I feel like the secondary running back position is pretty difficult. Rashad White is another one, just very difficult matchup versus Detroit. And yeah, I think I want to be under on Aaron Jones and Singletary. Maybe it's my famous last words, but no, any thoughts on the running back position, where you want to go?
Yeah, for me, I'm similar to Bobby, but I like 2 running backs, and then everyone else is kind of lumped together. Christian McCaffrey in a tier of his own. I think Isaiah Pacheco deserves to be in that next tier by himself. I mean, he's had at least 25 touches each of the last 2 games. Bills are dealing with a ton of injuries defensively. We know Mahomes in this passing attack just isn't what it used to be. So I think Pacheco is going to be a really strong option. And then after that, it's kind of a guessing game. Yeah, Aaron Jones has been awesome. At least 22 touches in 4 straight games, at least 130 yards in 4 straight games. A much tougher matchup for him. They haven't been using him in the passing game as much as they have in years past. I think it's an interesting Gibbs game just because, like Bobby mentioned, it's a tough matchup on the ground. So I'm hoping they get more passes involved with Gibbs. He only played like 32% of the snaps last week, but still had a pretty big game. I think that number comes up given the matchup. I'm going to be off of Singletary. I get it, the usage and all that. I just think Houston kind of struggles in this one. I was listening to a podcast, can't remember what it was, but they were saying, is this the largest underdog Stroud is going to be the rest of his career? I mean, it might be, right?
Could be.
Yeah, I mean, it matters what he does in this game. If he like shocks the world in this game, this will be he will no longer ever be a 9.5 point underdog. So Pacheco's got of matchups. So if we go to your first look, just the DVP running back or DVOA, we can see that like San Fran against Green Bay, San Fran should be able to run with ease. So that's CMC all the way. And then the second best would be Pacheco. And like you mentioned, the Bills are just decimated, missing a bunch of key players. So this is going to be a lot of second and third stringers there. Cold. So it would make a lot of sense for Pacheco to just get a monster workload in this. And I mean, we know I think we know, at least from this now, where the KC production is going to be. It's going to be Rashee Rice, Kelsey, if you believe that he still has it, if he can catch, because now I don't even know if he can catch after last week's game anymore. I'll keep going back to him though, and then Pacheco will get fed, and we'll get some targets too as well. So Pacheco's my second favorite. I think I would go Singletary or. I mean, it's tough. Do you think Green Bay can keep up in this game?
I didn't think they could keep up last week, so I'm the wrong guy to ask.
I think they can, for sure. I think they can. I just don't know if 6-7, if he's going to, I don't want to chase Aaron Jones for those three touchdowns. I get that like a ton of usage went through him last week. He's had big games versus San Fran in the past.
All right, listen. Why is it chasing? Dylan is out, right? Yep. He's extremely talented, has always been underutilized. Usually works well in the passing game. Didn't even need it last week, and Love doesn't seem to do the checkdowns, but it's just this usage. So like just look at his last 4 weeks: 16, 17, 18, 19. We're talking 20 plus carries in all of those games, over 100 yards in all of those games. The reason I hear you with a chase because of the 3 touchdowns, but he's not even chalk, right? He's going to be at least what I'm seeing from ownership projections. He's coming in at sixth running back from an ownership, number 6. Right. And this is a guy who's like guaranteed the usage. And if they can, and people aren't going to plan because they think that San Fran's going to blow them out. But if you want to think of a different game script, or even potentially in that game script where they're getting blown out, maybe they're forced to use him in the passing game more. And but they're going to feed him regardless because he's one of their most explosive players. So my take is it's not chasing.
So schedule adjusted last 5 via fantasy points. It's actually a pretty good matchup for Jones. So I think that you're making a pretty strong case. And I do think Green Bay can stay in this game. I actually think Green Bay can win this game personally. Little
money line, little Bobby Betts money line.
No, I think they cover the 9.5. So I think that is a pretty good. What do you have for Jones' ownership?
So I've run. I mean, this is early week stuff, and we're day away, and I'm running aggregates on from other places, but I've got them down at 21%.
Yeah, and so I got 4 games slate. Like that's a pretty good ownership clip.
That's
right?
under the 28% Rachaad White, 28% Singletary, 28% Pacheco, then it dropped 22% Cook, and then 21% Jones, and then Gibbs. And I like Gibbs. So I think this is the Gibbs spot because, we always avoid Vita Vea. And now, granted, when I'm looking, this is more like me just like thinking about this game, but this is where they need a playmaker in the passing game when you're not going to be able to run right up the middle with Montgomery, so I don't think this is a Montgomery game at all. I think if anyone, it's Gibbs. This is Gibbs week, and it would have to be through the passing game. But to Tampa's credit, they haven't allowed much production to running backs in the passing game this season either. But I still think it can be done. But I'm looking at that ownership at like 16% on Gibbs, and I'm liking that too. So I'm liking Jones, Gibbs. I like Pacheco because I think he's going to smash. I like McCaffrey, Pacheco. I think he's going to smash. But then the two other plays I like best are Aaron Jones and Gibbs.
I think I agree.
I think I agree too. I think you sold me on Jones for sure.
And then what if we got
beyond Ron?
Keep going. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. What'd you say?
No, Rashad White at that ownership, like you said, I would just be on Ron. I think that you have the right take with Pacheco and Jones for sure.
And the case for Singletary is just that he's 5,700 and it's easier to build lineups, with that savings. And then last week we had if you want to get different, Kareem Hunt is the guy. He could get the red zone stuff, and he did, and he could just score touchdowns. They had the touchdown equity. I mean, it ran perfect for him last week. But do we have a play like that this weekend? Can we say Gus Edwards would be that guy?
In terms of salary, Gus would be that guy, but is Gus actually that guy? He's 5'7" and Gus is 5'9". He would be the pivot, but I don't know if he's as good of a pivot as Hunt showed.
He's more of a two game slate type of play for me.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? If there was a guy that was going to vulture 2 touchdowns, right?
Yeah, Edwards or DeMont, probably.
Yeah.
But I don't want to play DeMont.
Yeah, I don't want to play DeMont either with Vita Vea.
And
I just worry if 2 touchdowns, you just hit 14 from Gus, and that's it, But maybe that's all you need in a 4-gamer.
Is Justice Hill worth contemplating?
If you think they're trailing.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. I think we wrapped up our feelings there. All right, let's bring it on to quarterback. So, it's spread out, and it's just play whoever you want. Purdy looks like he's going to be the most popular, but this is all just, they're all close to each other. So I've got ownership wise, 19% Purdy, 18.5% Lamar, 15.5% Goff, 13% Mahomes, Mayfield 13%, Josh Allen coming in. Now that's who I like, I think, if I had, because he's going to come in lower just because of the price. It's 8,000. It makes it tough. But he showed you in the horrible weather, 33 fantasy points, ripped a huge one, did his fake slide and just kept going. And, was if Dak didn't have that absolute nut garbage time, which was just crazy because he should. I'm happy Dak got there because I played him, but that should never work out like that. But anyways, I don't know. So the guy I'm really interested in this Mahomes, Josh Allen, because I think everyone's going away. Lamar, I can always get behind for sure. Brock Purdy. I like them all, to be honest with you. Even getting down to CJ Stroud at the lowest owned, 15%. It's easy to pair him with Nico Collins. Jordan Love looked good. There's all these guys could pan out, but who are your favorites, Noto?
So I plan to play all the slates, so I'll probably have some exposure to other guys in the 2-gamers. But Josh Allen for me in all my 4-game stuff, I think I'm just going to lock him in. I'm with you.
Spicy.
He's got 34 rushing attempts in the last 3 games. It's a revenge game. The Chiefs have knocked him out twice in the playoffs. I just love everything about Allen. He runs, he throws. They do the tush push now. I know the Bills cut Leonard Fournette, but I still think they'll do the tush push when they get down near the goal line. So, he's at 25, 22, 29, 34 fantasy points over his last 4. I think he's a guy for me, especially that ownership. But outside of him, Goff does feel very safe in a home matchup against a pass funnel. On the other side, you have Baker in a pass funnel matchup against the Lions. So a lot of people are going to look to those two. Purdy obviously has the high floor. I think he's had at least 24 fantasy points in 6 of his last 9, something like that. So those would probably be the guys I would look at, but didn't even talk about Lamar, who's obviously a great play as well. Houston, very tough against the run, very bad against the pass. Seems like we have a lot of the pass funnel defenses left here in the playoffs. So no issue with anybody, but I do like Allen the best.
Here we go, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like condensed offenses on these 4 gamers. So Stroud might make my pool the more I think about it, and also does give you if you do see this game, Houston winning it, Justice Hill at 4-9, it allows you to kind of get to a running back like Justice Hill in your Stroud lineups, or they're super condensed, like Nico Collins, Schultz. I do think like Noto, like Baker and Goff are extremely safe. So there'll be 2 guys that I prioritize, but I think like Kirk said at the top of the show, you want to prioritize ceiling in this matchup. I think Stroud is super condensed. He has a good ceiling. I think the same for Josh Allen. I think this could be a Diggs week, so I don't mind getting to some Josh Allen a little bit here. I know Casey's been fantastic for his number 1 wide receivers. But that's, I think, on a 4-game slate, a reason to play a guy like with a ceiling like Diggs. I mean, 2 out of the last 3 weeks, Allen missed Diggs on absolute like bomb passes that would have kind of changed the narrative on Diggs going into the playoffs. So don't mind Allen, don't mind Diggs, don't mind Kincaid, like Stroud, like Nico Collins as guys for ceiling. And then Baker Mayfield and Goff are probably the 2 that I think are the safe plays that I'd probably prefer to Brock Purdy, just because, like, obviously Tampa's secondary is atrocious, and you can make the same case for Baker going up against Detroit's secondary. So those would be the 4 QBs that I'm going to have interest on this 4-gamer.
I think if we're talking ceilings, I think it's got to be Lamar and Josh Allen have the 2 highest just because of their rushing upside, right?
Yeah.
And then Purdy, because of his weapons and upside, where CMC could get it through the pass too and just take him along for the ride with his other passing stats. And then Mahomes always has ceiling. I like Mahomes because it's easy to just put Rice and Kelsey, right? Like, like do you need anyone else at this point? Like, and then Baker has some ceiling because of the matchup against the Detroit D, and then Goff has some ceiling because of the matchup against the Tampa D. Like, those are like matchup plays. So it's like Baker and Goff are like the matchup ceiling guys, and then Lamar and Josh Allen are the highest ceiling guys because of the rushing, and then like Purdy and Mahomes because of just their teams and who they are.
Can I push back on Lamar a little bit?
Yeah.
Like,
definitely.
outside of week 17, like, we really haven't seen Lamar show that type of ceiling. And I think part of the reason is they're not as condensed as these other offenses. Like, that's why I do like Stroud, because you're getting to a guy like Schultz. You're getting to a guy like Nico. We talked about the running back there, whose name's slipping my mind right now for whatever reason, Singletary. So, like, we know where the ball's going. And then the ceiling with Lamar has kind of been capped all season, and I feel like we aren't as sure of where the ball is going with Zay there, Bateman, Odell. Likely, it's nice that we have Andrews out of the mix now, so we don't have to worry about that. I think you had a good take on Andrews where we're just fading him and playing Likely anyways.
Yeah,
but then
I'm kind of pissed that he's ruled out already.
They use the running backs at the goal line so much too. Like, they're going to use Gus at the goal line. They're not really risking Lamar like within the 5 as much as we've seen previously. Like, they're fine just handing it off, and the Texans run. So that's what I worry about the ceiling.
Okay. So what we're saying, we're combined saying, we're both combined agreeing that Lamar has a high ceiling, but it's also a lot riskier, right? Right. Like, it's also, it could go in a ton of different ways is the way I think that's the way it sounds. And I agree with that. But I think the ceiling is there.
We didn't talk about Mahomes really either. And then he's super
Okay.
condensed and obviously has a very high ceiling.
Yep. Mahomes against us backups and third string defenders.
Yeah. They're super condensed over like the last 2 weeks, so we don't know. But it seems like it's like we hit on Rashad Rice and Pacheco and Kelsey now that are going to be the majority of the offense.
Does Mahomes have a ceiling though?
I think that's a good pushback by Dodo. He might
under 21 fantasy points in 10 straight games. He's had good matchups during that stretch for sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, he hasn't had
have a ceiling.
I think he has a ceiling. I think it's still Mahomes. He hasn't had the weapons.
But I mean, we've been saying that about Kelsey too, and Kelsey still doesn't have a ceiling either.
I know. So like this is every week I get sucked back into Kelsey.
Just play Allen, dude. He gets 25 plus every week. Mahomes hasn't got that.
Allen's getting the tush push too on the one, which is fantastic for Allen. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I still something Mahomes playoffs.
I'm going all in on the Bills. They're just gonna break my heart. My futures, my DFS.
Who's your favorite receiver to pair with Allen? Diggs, obviously.
I like Kincaid. But I don't think you have to pair anybody with Allen. He could get 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns and spread the ball around.
Why haven't they raised Shakir's price much?
Yeah, Shakir's good value.
I don't get
out
why they
for sure, right?
Yeah, they just announced them out today. All right, let's go to wide receiver position. So, from an ownership perspective, to build lineups, these cheap guys are so all of a sudden. Who I played last week, Josh Reynolds, has a bit of a revenge game. Monster first half, looked like he was going to break the slate, and then just nothing in the second half. But had a good week: 7 targets, 5 receptions, 80 yards. He's going to be. It looks like he's going to be the chalkiest wide receiver on the slate. I get it against Tampa's pass defense, which is bad in the dome. Game likely to shoot out. Lot of positives there, but also right behind him is Jameson Williams, looks like he's going to get the next highest ownership, at least from what I'm seeing. I actually think this is a Jameson Williams week as opposed to a Josh Reynolds week. I think you beat Tampa by going over them in the passing game. They're susceptible to the deep ball, and I think Jameson Williams is a guy that they could unleash in this game. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all. First of all, he's chalk, so it's risky. It's like, and he hasn't really done much all season. He's got like 13 fantasy points, I think, is like his highest. But like, I wouldn't be shocked if he goes for like an 80-yard touchdown right off the bat in this game. I think it's a better spot for him. Then the other cheap guy would be Shakir, who looks, I think, is a better play than all of them. And he's only 3,800, and he's going to be a little bit less owned than them. The top end is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8,200. The guy is just consistent as can be. Just produces in the dome, great environment, great matchup against Tampa's Swiss cheese pasty. And then we got Rashee Rice, who's clearly the number 1 wide receiver in this offense. We're talking about 12 targets, 6 targets, 12 targets, 9 targets, 10 targets, 9 targets, 10 targets over since week 12. Clearly coming into his own, confidence building with him and Mahomes together. So I've got nothing bad. He's in wide receiver 1. He's probably my favorite wide receiver, to be honest with you. Nico Collins is going to be interesting to get your guys' take on, because doesn't matter if, like, all you got to do is stop Nico Collins. Nobody can do it. It seems like, 7 targets, 6 receptions. Like, he broke the game open for them last week. Could have had a lot more if they had any pushback in that game. 96 yards, a touchdown. Then there's Godwin, Ayuk, Zay Flowers, Mike Evans, Stephon Diggs. There's a lot of ways to go. No, what do you like?
I'm with you on, I think it's a Jameson over Reynolds week. Man, we should have seen it coming last week. We can look at numbers all we want, but we know the Lions and Dan Campbell, he's a narratives guy. Jared Goff and Reynolds, double revenge game against the Rams. We should have seen that coming.
I did see it coming.
Yeah, I mean, I should have seen it coming. I played Jameson over Reynolds. But I'm going to do it again this week. I think you're right that Tampa Bay very susceptible to the deep threat. I like Shakir as a value, and the more that I think about it, just threw together a lineup. I think it's a 4 receiver type of week for me. Then I don't have to worry about the RB3. I can just play McCaffrey and Pacheco, play some of these cheap receivers that we're talking about, and then kind of build from there. But at the very top, Amon-Ra St. Brown, hard to argue with him in any format. He's kind of like Goff in that he offers that high floor ceiling combo. Love Rashee Rice. They move him all over the field. Buffalo's dealing with injuries. He gets deep in short targets. So he's a guy I like. And then love Mike Evans. I think it's a great bounce back spot for him. We saw Trey Palmer catch a long touchdown, David Moore catch a long touchdown, Chris Godwin catch a long touchdown. I feel like this is going to be the Mike Evans week against a very beatable Detroit secondary. So, yeah, I mean, lots of good plays. What I don't know what to do is with the Niners. Do I play Debo? Do we play Ayuk? I never know.
Mike Evans is great, but it's like every memory I have of him are him dropping. And remember last year, Bobby, when you had like all the Brady and on a week when nobody played Brady, and it was like he was open for like an 80. It was literally like a whole field in front of him. He beat everybody, and it just went off his fingertips. Like, right, it was the easiest catch it should have ever been, and he dropped it, and it was like right in the beginning of the game. And then last week was like the same thing. Bomb, right? Perfect throw right into his hands, and he just drops it. Like all my memories of this guy are of him dropping easy catches.
Drops.
Yeah.
No,
and yet he still crushes like overall. So it's like he leaves so much on the table.
No, I feel the same way. Yeah, Evans is a tough one. Amon-Ra is definitely my favorite spend at the wide receiver position on the slate. I will say, like, 4-game slate, what I love about these small slates is you can find points in like construction where you should be getting, I don't know, a little bit different. Like Reynolds and Williams both hit it. I would not play them together unless I'm playing Goff, like no more than one, I would say, unless I'm playing Goff, because that seems like a weaker point in the construction. Like Kirky hit on Khalil Shakir at 3.8, like him. Christian Watson's another week back in this Green Bay offense versus San Fran. Obviously, they're probably going to be trailing. He's at 4.2. Odell's there at 4.6. Like cheap wide receiver. Mechie kind of showed a little bit of something last week at 3.4. Like I would just be Trey Palmer's there at 3.5. I would just be trying to get away from one of these cheaper wide receivers. Like I'd probably play one and then basically boot the other one to the side and run someone else with them, just because I just think you fall into the same construction as everyone else. And I think there's a lot of volatility, a cheap wide receiver, a cheap tight end. So I think that's the place where I'm trying to set my rules and get them correct so I get what I want and I'm not the same as the field. Spending up, Ayuk or Debo. I don't know. Like currently, I probably prefer Ayuk at 6.9, but Debo's been so good. It'd be tough to get away from him. So I'll probably like split the difference in terms of their ownership. Amon-Ra is my favorite. Evans is right there. Trying to figure out Nico Collins. Like the volume and ceiling. Like people are going to look at this matchup, say he has no ceiling, but with his volume, he does have a ceiling. And he's shown it week in and week out, and he's getting all the targets for this team. Like at 7,100, don't overlook Nico Collins. Evans at 72, I like I said. I'm not, in terms of the spend ups, like I haven't looked into them a ton. Chris Godwin's there at 6.3. Like maybe a guy like Godwin is your salary pivot off of a guy like Singletary at 5.7, because Godwin to me isn't going to be played. Like 15% on this slate, that's low. Anything under 20% on a 4-game slate is low. And he's in a great game environment. Like I could see myself getting to him. Rashee Rice is going to see a ton of volume. We can talk about everyone, but I think it's more about your rules within construction. And for me, like getting away from these one of the cheap Detroit wide receivers is the first rule that I'm setting. And I think it's super important to get right if you want to do well in the slate.
So I played Trey Palmer. and captain in the showdown, whatever.
He
And
only had one catch, really.
and I know he got there. Like, where did David Moore come from? It was so. What my thought was that, he was supposed to get an end zone target, I think, or maybe he did, and they were just like complete. It was like an uncatchable pass or something. It was just like there was miscommunication between him and Baker, and I think if I remember that correctly. And then like all of a sudden, David Moore was playing. So I wonder if that had something to do with it, or I don't know. I mean, because he went from like 25% snaps to 46% snaps. Like he overtook Trey Palmer with 34% snaps. So they kind of switched places all of a sudden. Yes, he got there. He got that touchdown, which was a beautiful thing for me. But like it, he only had a 33% route participation. So, and David Moore was at 43%. Crazy. The cheap guys are going to be a huge decision for sure. My first instinct would be to fade Josh Reynolds, but then I think about it and it's like Tampa's passing defense. So it's tough, but I definitely agree with you, Bobby, as one, max one of Reynolds or Williams.
What about Mechie?
Yeah, Mechie came on strong a little bit last game.
Second on the team in routes.
Eventually,
Noah Brown's out. I think that they're going to sell out to slow down Nico. I think
it's like, do you really want to take him in like a great against a great defense?
No.
Outside in bad weather, cold weather.
I think Nico struggles, and so I think it could go to somebody else. But that's just my thinking.
I don't hate that take. Like, they should sell it. They know where the ball's going. Like, if Harbaugh's a smart coach, like, he's going to do his best to take him away, you would imagine. So targets getting funneled to other places makes sense. Mechie's one of the guys with Brown out. Him, Schultz, Singletary. I think Schultz would be more of a priority to get the ball to if they take away Nico, but Mechie's still going to get funneled targets. I just think, like, I'm running every optimal, and I'm seeing Williams and Reynolds, and, like, unless you're playing Goff, I don't think you want to play the two of them together. Even if you're playing Goff, I don't think you want to play the two of them together, really.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think it's a point in construction that we can kind of make rules around to get different and get leverage on the field.
Does all the ownership on Williams and Reynolds lead to lower St. Brown ownership?
No.
You could. I think that's a really good take.
Let's run it.
Are you going to want to, like the hand builders, are you going to want to play St. Brown and Reynolds without Goff? Like, that just feels weird, right?
It feels super weird, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, large field stuff that the optimizers are going to build what they're going to build, but the small field single entry hand builders, I think we could see lower Amon-Ra maybe.
Yeah. Bobby, question.
What'd you say?
I was going to say, let's finish your thought because I was taking it somewhere else.
They maybe it was just game plan dependent, but like they wanted to run the football last week. So if they try to run the football versus Amon-Ra had a huge game versus Tampa Bay. So I don't know why they wouldn't go back to Amon-Ra in Tampa Bay. He had a huge game. I think it was week 9. I hope they don't just try to pound the football and do what this meathead coach. Well, he's obviously a good coach, but just to establish it, just throw the ball. You know what I mean? Because it took them a little while to get Amon-Ra into the game last week. But maybe that's just game plan dependent, and it won't matter this week because they know they have to throw it. But I'd be a little trepidatious with Amon-Ra if they come out trying to run the ball, and I'm like, why aren't they throwing? I don't know. So maybe hand builders wouldn't get up and they just take the value. But I think
my question for you is, how are you dealing with the Green Bay receiver roulette?
I think it was a lot easier last week. And I still got it wrong. I didn't have Dobbs. He was the one that you needed, obviously. But this week, with everything else being with stuff being so kind of condensed around other offenses and offenses with quarterbacks who have higher ceilings and stuff like that, I don't know how much I'm going to be getting to them, but I do think that Christian Watson at 4-2, like we just know the ceiling that he does have if he ever shows it again. He's someone that I would have interest as a pivot off of these guys. Maybe Bo Melton, but Bo Melton only seen one target last week. I know people try to make Bo Melton work. Last week he only saw one target. I don't think I'm going back to Dobbs, even though I like Dobbs. We just, like we kind of talked about before the show, like they haven't utilized him. He hadn't had like more than 12 fantasy points all year.
Dude, Watson is the best play on the slate.
Yeah, Watson's a really good play if he's going to get.
He got one target last week. He was, still come back from hammy, but he's been completely removed from the injury report now. He's close to this price range of the 50% ownership guys of Jameson and thing in a game where they're probably going to be trailing and having to pass. And we already have established that they, Love doesn't like to check down as much. So like he should just hone in on Watson. Like I think the potential at 4,200, the potential is there.
I like this take. Getting behind this take.
I mean, it just came to me. I mean, sometimes genius just comes into my head at the right,
He's easily the best pivot. Like if we're trying to get ahead on stuff.
Like I was thinking like Shakir pivot. I wasn't even like thinking of Watson, right?
I think Shakir is perfectly fine too, but I think
I think he's good.
Super sneaky one, yeah.
Like I'm saying, like the fact that it hadn't come to me like right off the bat, like as the easy pivot, is like the reason why I think he's like a smash play.
And now, he ran more routes. He ran more routes than Melton and Wicks last week, and that's probably just going to go up now that second game back.
Yeah, I'm with you guys.
Let's ride. Let's ride.
We're not playing Love though, correct? Like we're not, or are we playing Love? I don't think so, right?
I'm not.
I mean, he crushes every week, but I never play him, so no change in that this week.
It's if you're gonna play Love, I honestly think the other offenses are too condensed. But make sure you throw every receiver into your group with Love just in case, because you're trying to get away from these two Detroit guys. A lot of his receivers are in that price range. Don't make the mistake I did last week and not have Dobbs, but have everyone else. So that's what I would do if I was playing Love. But I'm not playing Love, but it's just something to keep in mind.
What about Debo?
I think Ayuk has a better matchup. I'll check now. Oh, Debo.
So it depends on Jair Alexander, I think, right?
Well,
yeah. I don't think Jair is that good though. He's not someone I'm really worried about. I know he had the pick last week.
Nice little pick six.
Yeah. I've seen him him be attacked previously though. I don't think he's as good as he was.
PFF says Ayuk has from the matchup standpoints from Pro Football Focus, if you've been following Twitter this week, you don't know whether to which side to join. Have you see all the controversy with them?
No.
There's been a lot of
go into it. We have time for Go into it. What's the go into it?
No, because I'm drawing a blank on names, so because I'm sick. Who's the ESPN the former? I don't know.
Coach for the Texans.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers. Whose pod was he on?
Pat McAfee.
McAfee. Whatever.
Yeah.
They and Aaron Rodgers, and he had Watt on there who said PFS is useless. Pro Football Focus, students, so all the nerds came out, and it's a big thing versus each other. The Football Bros versus PFF. But anyway, they've got Amon-Ra as the best matchup advantage. Ayuk second best, Evans third best, Nico Collins they say is good, fourth best, Debo fifth. So
what about for the cheap guys? What about for the cheapies? Reynolds and Williams are the best.
let's see the cheapies.
It must be
Reynolds. Reynolds is the first for the cheapie. Wicks.
Interesting.
Jaden Reed. But they're not good. These we're getting into a range where they're all like not really that good. Then Williams and Shakir.
Well, we know that, like Noto said, Wicks had been kind of upseated by Christian Watson last week, so maybe it's really Watson that gets that matchup. I don't know. I'm just
spitballing here.
Yeah, just spitballing a little bit.
All right. I mean, we didn't talk about Zay Flowers, did we?
He's come on strong. We haven't really talked about him then.
And there's a lot of narrative around people saying that Odell Beckham was saved for this moment for the playoffs.
I think Odell's been the best receiver on that team all year. Like, he just hasn't shown it in terms of like the box score yet.
Well, that's the thing is the people are saying that it's because they've been purposely like holding him out.
Yeah, so from Watson at 4.2 to Odell at 4.6, I think Odell's in play for the 400 more as a pivot off of the Detroit guys. Where's Zay at 5.2? He kind of stays in that range, right? His tag's 5.2, I think.
Zay Flowers 6.
Yeah.
6K.
6K. Okay, so he's got his price tags come out. Yeah, Odell at 4.6. I don't hate. Zay is going to get volume. I mean, it's just a matter of like I feel like it's wide receiver roulette there, even though they've been more concentrated throwing the ball to Zay towards the end of the year. But I still think that like you do have to worry about an Odell at 4.6 or a Bateman at 4K. Likely's there obviously too. So, and then you have to worry about running back stealing touchdowns at the goal line, which is something that's irritated me about Baltimore pretty much all year, or Lamar.
All right. Unless you guys got like another flyer or anything you want to talk about, should we take it at tight end?
Yep. I love all the game theory talk. These pods are a lot longer than all of our regular season pods.
Yeah,
I like the
it's because you're in a rush, right? It's because you're in a rush. No, I'm trying to.
No, it's good. I'm saying like the combos are a lot
for
more like thinking through game theory stuff, which I like.
Yeah.
Kelsey 6K, going to be the most owned. Has not been worth it lately. He did have 10 targets, which was nice to see against Miami, but it would have been nice to see him actually catch the football. He did catch 7 receptions for 71 yards, but he made some brutal drops. Stiff as a board still. Kittle 5,200. This is kind of like the San Fran roulette, but the ceiling is there for sure. Kate Otten, who Bobby faded, decided to just get 11 targets, 8 receptions all game.
Fucking, oh my God, dude. Oh my God.
I was watching that laugh. I couldn't help laughing because we had the conversation before. You're like, I'm definitely fading Kate Otten. And
that was on the second slate. And it sucked too because I played Knox and Kincaid. I played all the pivots, and then he goes for 16, and I'm like, shit, you know?
Yeah. Kincaid looks like a wide receiver 2 on that team. Targets have been there. He did get the end zone, which I kind of didn't like because we had our boy. I wanted another Dawson Knox TD. I was getting greedy, even though the whole point of playing Dawson Knox is you're probably only getting a red zone target and he's got to catch it. But anyways, Kincaid looks strong play. Dalton Schultz. Then there's Kraft for cheap at 3,100. Musgrave got the big play and looked like a strong play, but the usage still went to Tucker Kraft. So Kraft was certainly the tight end 1. I don't know if that'll change this week or not, but who knows? Laporta, questionable, off of his deathbed. Undertaker gif, rise from the dead, like caught a touchdown right off the bat. and looked fine. Was out there for a ton of snaps, run a ton of routes. So I don't know. Is he healthy? Is he fine? Had a knee brace before, like pictures of him going around Twitter in the knee brace before game time, but was magically looked good.
There's a bigger question with Laporta on the slate.
What's that?
Is he the guy that gets squeezed in this Detroit offense? Because he is a fantastic play. Like, if you think about it, all year, he showed ceilings at 32. I think he had one game 28. He had one game like 40 on a Monday night or something crazy. I think he has a ton of upside, and it's loaded in terms of like all the optimal spitting out Detroit guys, and then pretty much tight ends loaded as a position. So people are going to be afraid to play him. He might be the guy you want to play.
Yeah, and so he's had no setback. He was a full participant in practice. No reports of a setback. So things look fine. He got 11 targets. Or no. In the last, when they played Tampa, he got 11 targets in that game. He didn't produce much. Amon-Ra went off in that game, like you said earlier. That was week 6. But I mean, it's nice to see 11 targets in the same matchup. Yeah, people. I think the hit is that people are still a little skeptical of his health.
I would be over completely. I think he's a guy you have to be over on the slate.
Yeah, ran 76% of the routes last week, a lot higher than I thought it would be.
I did give out. I'm going to pat my own back and say I did talk about Brevin Jordan as being a good play at 2,700 or at 2,500 last week. It's 2,700 this week. I mean, it was a lucky TD, but he did have a 76 yards and a touchdown. The path was there. I mean, you could see something crazy like that again. I don't know. If I had to go really super low on a tight end, take an absolute chance on, I think he would probably be the guy again. But that does feel like chasing. I think Likely is a really strong play. His ownership's going to shoot up now, I think, with Mark Andrews definitely being out now. And I thought that Likely was the play anyway. I thought that if Andrews played, he would be more of a decoy, but they're just not even messing around with it. They're getting him ready for the following week. They're looking ahead. But I think Likely is a super strong play here. But who are your favorites? Noto.
Yeah, I mentioned a lot of good plays. Love Laporta. Tampa allowed the second most fantasy points to tight ends too. You get the ownership discount compared to all the other Detroit guys. I like Likely. Houston's allowed the 4th most fantasy points to tight ends, and we've seen him just crush over the last few weeks without Andrews. And then I like Dalton Kincaid quite a bit. Kansas City, very tough on wide receiver ones, and I think that's just going to funnel some targets over the middle. If you look at the route participation, I know Knox caught that touchdown, but he only played on like 23% of the routes, ran a route. And Kincaid was up in the high 60s. So I like him as my favorite pairing option with Allen. But yeah, a lot of good plays. You can go back to Cade Otton for value. Bobby, if you had a change of heart on Otton this week?
I'll probably be fading Otton again. So famous last words. He's 3. Like, what's his price? Like, there's so many good tight ends on the slate. Like, that being said, like, there's no way I'm playing a running back in the flex. It's either tight end or wide receiver. That's the only way you're making my flex position. What do we have for Cade Otton's 3.5?
What if I told you there was a tight end who only cost 3,500, who is coming off of an 11 target game, going to a dome in a projected shootout, and against the team that was 24th in DVP versus the tight end position on the season. And again, he's only 3,500. Would that be something that interests you?
There's no way I'm not coming in under on Cade Otton. I'm not fading him completely, but there's no way I'm not coming in under on Cade Otton. Look, I get Tucker Kraft right there at 3-1. What's Musgrave's price? I don't know. Maybe I'm
36.
burning a little bit too much. I just think that like the position itself is so strong. I guess you could play one of them in the flex, but Laporta, Kincaid, Schultz, I like at 4.4, likely at 4.7. I guess there's not a ton really in K. Otton's range, so definitely going to end up playing him, but begrudgingly, I'll say.
There we go.
Do I run back the Dawson Knox first touchdown?
No, because you're fading against yourself.
No, you know what you do is you do Dawson Knox anytime touchdown.
I like the payouts, you know.
You greedy?
He gets tired after the first quarter, and then they don't play him anymore.
What about Luke Musgrave first touchdown?
It's not bad. He only ran her out on like 30% of drawbacks or something, but
will that change?
It should go up, I would think.
It's Green Bay though. You never know. They like drag it with guys coming back. Well, how many games has he been back?
Knox is 25-1 first touchdown. Jeez, I gotta go back.
They want you to chase that. Don't chase that, dude. Musgrave's been back.
Who cares? You might as well. It makes no difference. It makes no difference.
Tucker Kraft first TD.
Cade the Blade. It's all about Cade the Blade. All right, Bobby. It's the final show. You got to come strong for the defenses here.
Oh my God, dude. I don't know. Like, who's the optimal defense hitting everything? It must be the Bills or the Ravens or one of the two. Yeah, I don't know. I like the pack a little bit. 2,600. I think that's an interesting GPP defense versus San Fran, and actually, it's a horrible play, but I don't know. Someone come with something better. No. What about one of these defenses in the game where everyone's in a throw? The Lions or the Bucks, or I don't know. I need some help. I haven't done enough defensive stuff. I'm sorry, I'm not coming with the heat. No, you got anything?
I don't have any strong takes. Feels like the Ravens are probably the best option if you can get up there. Maybe the Chiefs at 2,700. We know Josh Allen will make some boneheaded plays every now and then. So I don't mind the Chiefs.
I like the Chiefs too at 27.
Maybe San Fran.
I think if you're playing McCaffrey heavy, like you should be definitely getting over on San Fran D. I would imagine to correlate and differentiate McCaffrey a little bit. So at 3-4, I feel like they'll be one of the. Actually, they're showing. They're going to be one of the lower owned defenses. Yeah, I don't mind San Fran at all.
And the thing with the Packers, they've kind of been front runners the last 2 months. Like they've been playing with leads. If they get out to a deficit, who knows how they'll play?
Are they able to make a run, the Packers? No.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't believed in them, so I've been wrong this far.
LaFleur looked good last week. Like he called a great game.
Yeah,
Kirky, any thoughts on the pack? Plus 9.5.
I'm a chalk donkey. I think San Fran whoops them, but it's just me.
I like.
All right. Should we finish it out with a stack, or do we kind of give everything? We just
give a super tease.
Give the super tease, and then we'll give the stacks.
Do we even give the stacks? I don't know. I think we've said enough. All right. Super tease. You go on DraftKings, you pick your 4 spots, and you're just going to plan to get 13 points on each spot. So first off, do we want to take San Fran, or do we want to just really inflate the Green Bay? You know, it would be plus 23 on Green Bay, or we can get the Niners at plus 3.5.
I like the Niners side.
I say Niners.
Or I like over 37.5. I think San Fran could get that themselves.
I like the Green Bay side.
All right, skip that one.
Plus 23. I think that's the one you want.
We gotta agree. Or should we all pick one and then agree on the last one?
All right. we're all in agreement that the Chiefs plus 15.5 is probably the way to go.
Yeah, I like both sides of that tease. So yeah, I'm cool with that.
I like both sides, so I'm fine with it too.
I like the
all
Bucks over 36. They
I
got to
like
score more.
I like that game. I like the game over in that game. The Bucks Lions over 36. So let's do that. I like that. Bobby, you okay with that?
I'm fine with it.
Do we have a take on Houston Ravens? I mean, we could take the Ravens too at plus 3.5.
That's the side I like. Bobby?
Or do you want to just say 23 or 22?
I don't think they beat that team by 23.
22.5.
22.5. I don't know. I'm fine either way. You can do whatever you guys want.
Bobby
Green
bets.
Bay's
You got
the one I
to
want.
Green Bay. Okay. We're locking
Green
in
Bay's
Green
the one
Bay
I
for
want.
Bobby.
I mean,
Plus
it
22.5.
I think you get caught. Yeah, I think San Fran's the one everyone's going to lock in. And
All right. So what's our fourth? A total somewhere? Over in that game?
what about Detroit?
Over 37.5 in the Packers San Fran or no?
I don't mind it.
Under anything?
Over.
You want to go 63.5? That sounds pretty big.
I like the Ravens. Can we do the Ravens?
All right, let's. If Bobby gives the okay.
Yeah, we can do the Ravens. I said I was fine either way.
All right, here it is. Kansas City Chiefs plus 8.5. Oh no, I got to do 13. Sorry. Kansas City Chiefs plus 15.5. Over in the Tampa Bay Detroit Lions game of 36. Green Bay Packers plus 22.5. And the Ravens plus 3.5 is our super tease.
Guys, make sure you get these numbers too. If you're not getting these numbers, maybe you don't want to bet it. But I don't know. Just make sure you get the numbers.
Yeah, good advice. I did not get the numbers. By the time I got across the border, the Bills had gone 3 points lower. And
Next time that happens, I'll put one in for just hit me up and I'll put it in through DK or something.
All right. I'm gonna give a couple of generational opportunities for UFC bets. All right. So first off, I'm betting this is not generational. This is the line is huge, but I don't see any way she loses. Jasmine Jasudavicius minus 380 against Catrera, whatever. Who cares? This girl's gonna punish her, take her down with ease, and just grapple her all, and she should finish her. But I don't see any way she loses. She's minus 380. You use her as a parlay piece. But the two plays I like a lot are the main events, and I think people are overthinking it. I'm taking Mario Bueno Silva. This is just a regular play for me at minus 162 over Raquel Pennington. I think she just brings more to the table. So I'm taking her. But the generational bet, if you watch the tape, is Sean Strickland should be a much bigger favorite in the spot over Dracus Du Plessis. Now, he's only minus 115. I am going to hammer this. Now, I initially was thinking, Du Plessis is dangerous, but if you watch the tape, first of all, Strickland has the best striking defense I've ever seen. He's just so good. Du Plessis doesn't have a gas tank. Strickland has an amazing gas tank, so 5 rounds. And Sean Strickland is so much better on the feet than this guy. It's like night and day if you watch the tape. Du Plessis has some power. That's about it. But Strickland has the defense. I don't see him losing unless he gets bonked. Like he gets if Du Plessis catches him with a lucky punch, I guess that could happen. But I don't even think that could happen. I think this is a generational opportunity. His price is so way too low. We're getting basically even money on a play. I think he should be minus 300. So I'm going to the house on Sean Strickland. So you guys can come along with me or not, have a difference of opinion, whatever. But that's who I'm taking. So
it's unfortunate the downside of me is going to miss out on this generational opportunity of wealth based on his feelings for Sean Strickland.
What I'm hearing.
No, I have the same feelings. I like I don't agree with his politics, his personality, all what he says. So a lot of people love it. I don't. I absolutely hate it. But like the tape is the tape. The matchup is the matchup. He's a much better striker than him. He's got the cardio. He's got the defense. I think this is just the wrong fight for Dracus du Plessis. I think he's overrated. And I think Strickland's gonna either cruise to a decision or he's gonna take him out.
What I'm hearing, Strickland parlay, Dawson Knox touchdown.
Oh, baby. There you go. All right.
Don't chase the 25-1, Noto. You got the 20-1 last week. Let it go.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, it's like it's house money. It makes no difference really. That one.
If I lose this, it was just 19-1 instead of 20.
Yeah, he hit a 19-1.
All right,
come on, it's gambling 101, Bobby. Come on.
I'm not a sports bettor. Like I play DFS.
If you play roulette, and you hit a number, you leave it out there for another roll. You know.
Yeah. All right, that's it. That's the show. That's the season. Thank you again. I've already said this to everyone for listening, watching, supporting us. Good and bad, takes, but appreciate it. Love doing the show. Love Noto stepping in this season. It was awesome to have you. Bring a lot to the table. Love it. Bobby, always a pleasure. This was our second year in a row with this. And, hopefully we'll be back. We'll run it back again next season and keep it going. But any final words for the people? There will be no encore. This is the encore. This is the final show. So, Noto, say your piece.
Yeah, thanks for watching all year. We finally won over the YouTube commenters. Nothing but positive comments last week. So, we appreciate you. And hopefully we'll be back next year.
Yeah, I'm saying. Well, just want to echo Noto's sentiments. Nice to win over the YouTube commenters. It's nice that we switched the time on the show because I think that was one of the early stumbles for us. It was like we didn't realize having kids and going late probably wasn't the greatest situation for me and Kirky. But now, I hope we're back next year. I'm excited to get back to work when next football season starts. I know it's a long time away, but.
It's a kid on the baby monitor I'm watching right now. It's out. This is why we're doing it at this time.
Is it bad parenting if I leave the house to go get a coffee, but the kid's still on the baby monitor?
I've had this argument. I've done this. I've done it too. I've had this argument. Like if I have them secured away, I guess what you could have a heart attack or something. That's the only.
Yeah,
I've gone to the convenience store. Literally, it's next. It's like two houses down. Basically a convenience store. I've run in there and done it. I guess somebody could rob the convenience store and you could be there held up or something. But those are risks you got to take. Sometimes you got to do it.
I'm contemplating that risk currently because my kid's also sleeping. So I'm gonna go get a coffee.
All right. This has been the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. Divisional round 2024. That's a wrap for the season. And we'll catch you back next season. Thanks for listening.